Hello, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. As you guys have known, and this is not only going up on YouTube, this is also going back on our lovely podcast thing over there on Anchor. I just want you guys to know, I'm sorry it's been so long. I had a small problem with my email, so I couldn't really figure it out. And because I've been having such a big problem right now with recording, because I keep losing the recordings, welcome to, of course, this was now back when I'm recording it on the 14th of January. I want you guys to know that I have finally gotten another email from, of course, the Visionary. And this is a review from 2021, the articles that made the biggest splash. Dear Rev Knight, that's me. The past couple years have felt a bit like a creepy creaky roller coaster ride and underfunded theme park. But before we jump off the ride for good, we can't resist taking a quick look back at the last 12 months. The good, the bad, and the ugly. We present to you the top 10 blogs of 2021. Enjoy. Now, there are 10 here. There are 10. So what we're going to do is we are going to read 5 this episode, 134, and then 135 next week because I'm working on something on Minecraft. As you see, I'm working in the game while I'm doing these. I'm terraforming a lot. I'm tearing down the mountain, kind of like what we did in the first world, where I was trying to tear down big portions of area so we can use those areas as farmland, or if I want to build something and get rid of a lot of the stone that I've been cooking and all that, I have somewhere to go. Plus, with what I worked on in the next episode, because the video, not the audio, are pre-recorded, I know what's already going to happen in them. And with what I'm working towards, that you'll see in next episode, that one I'm working towards doing something that I hope will not bite me in the tuchus. So, without further ado, let's get into the top 10 articles. This one, number 1. Guys, before I forget, again, we're only doing 5 this episode, 5 next episode. And some of these we may have spoken of, some of them we might not have. But you'll still get my point of view from a religious point. And not only that, you can also hear the top 10 that came about. Okay, the 5 we're going to be reading is, number 1, quick, God's not watching. Young Mormons discover a loophole they've been using to experiment in the bedroom without angering God. Yep. Number 2, the Easter Bunny's secret past. How much do you know about the Easter Bunny, really? We break open the untold story to show everything you were never taught in school. 3, worshipping Satan for kicks. Converse announced and release of a shoe critics called Satanic propaganda because of the Pentagram integrated into the design. Number 4, chocolate or a whippin'. If you were in ancient Rome celebrating Valentine's Day, you'd probably choose the latter. Hang on, one sec, guys. I gotta read this. Sorry about that, guys. The phone was ringing. I had to answer that. Okay, back to what I was saying. Article number 4, chocolates or a whoopin'. If you were in ancient Rome celebrating Valentine's Day, you probably would choose the latter. Explore the strange pagan origins of this holiday. And our last article for the day, for this episode. No pagans allowed. A Panera employee was allegedly fired for her pagan beliefs by a manager who claimed not believing in God made the employee unfit. No offense, that goes against laws. Like, you can't fire someone for their religious beliefs. That's been around for years. Alright, so, quick, God's not watching. Let's see this one. And I'm hoping... Okay, here we go. Mormon youth discover steamy celibacy loophole. Underneath a picture of a guy and girl hiding their faces and everything else under the covers. Soaking is the latest loophole young Mormons use to have intercourse without angering God. Don't even know what fucking soaking it is. Since the dawn of here's the article. Since the dawn of humanity, people have been having lots and lots of sex. And at some point, religious teachers came in and said, don't do that unless you're married. That left faithful young, unwed people stuck between a rock and a hard place, torn between honoring their god, or gods, and giving in to their raging hormones, until now. Young Mormons have devised the ultimate loophole, a way to have sex without technically having sex. They're dubbing it soaking, and couples have been enlisting their friends to assist in their totally not sex. Its deities hate this one simple trick. Soaking it up. So, what is soaking exactly? As one Mormon described it, soaking is when a male places his ding-dong in a woman's, and that is it. No moving, no thrusting, no orgasm. So they're pretty much just sticking it in a hole. That's it. The phenomenon is taking the Mormon world by storm, and the internet is anything to judge by. The soaking hashtag is garnering some 25 million views on TikTok, and news in its popularity got picked up on TikTok and on Twitter as well. Okay, so Jeff and these are Twitter articles. Jeff at Jeff Wants Poppers. I love when people first learn about crap like this. Haha, never thought I get to use this. Then there is a Mitch who is posting a cartoon that says, soaking is a practice used by some young Mormons to engage in premarital sexual activity without angering God. Basically, a guy soaks his happy area inside a girl without moving because it's the motion that makes it the sin. This became God as a T-Rex, and the vision is based on movement. And there's a T-Rex busting his head through the ceiling and the people shaking in the bed. And back in the article. In an extra strange twist, apparently sometimes a friend will ask to jump up and down next to the couple if certain body parts happen to thrust together in the commotion. Well, that's not intentional. Smart, though. While some Mormons say that soaking isn't just an urban legend, many claim it's real. It's kind of like a hush-hush thing. Everyone knows it goes on, but you won't come out and say, oh yeah, I soaked with my girlfriend, or whatever. One former Mormon told the New York Post it is definitely a real thing in the community, among teens and single Mormon college students. A controversial loophole. Next part of it. Parents of Mormon teens are frustrated at the hashtag's explosion in popularity, fearing that it could lead to their children trying it and getting unwanted pregnancies and STIs in the process. For their part, the church has yet to officially address soaking, but insiders say church elders are angry at the tag's popularity online. Many expect them to address the act of soaking in the coming weeks. Remember, this would be way, way back in time. Some view the whole ordeal as an inevitable symptom of abstinence-based sex education common in the Mormon community. Pretty much no sex education. It is common and negative side effects of sexual opposing large groups of people, many of which are raised in homes with parents who believe that they shouldn't even discuss sex with their children because it will inevitably lead to the children becoming sexually active, explains ex-Mormon V.G. Anderson. Like other sex loopholes, the idea is ripe for controversy, and yet hormonal Mormon teens feel compelled to try, or at least investigate their workarounds. And then there's the bottom thing in bold. What do you think is is it reasonable for a religion to the degree that the following, absent from sex, still married? Are loopholes like soaking truly acts of sin or just natural occurrences or whatever? Huh. So I want to go back to where I can get back into this and give you a little piece of my mind on this. I get, because I was raised Catholic, you weren't supposed to have sex before you were married, and yeah, I mean, what they're doing isn't technically sex. I mean, if we look at the definition of sex, it is sex, like in the scientific way, but if you think about sex, you're not just putting it in the hole and just leaving it there and then having your friends wiggle the bed back and forth. No one's having fun, really. It's more like, oh, it's in. Okay, that's weird, that's weird, that's weird. Okay, it's really tight and warm, but okay, now nothing's happening. There's a difference between having sex and what they're doing. Soaking just sounds like, in all actuality, foreplay. Really, it sounds more like that. But I get where the church would be upset about this, because if you think about it, and they've even brought it up, it's their religion states that you're not supposed to have sex before you're married, and they strongly believe this. I know a Mormon, and he is very, very devout. Like, he will not do anything that goes against his religion. Even if you try, and even when he's drunk, that's the first thing he thinks of is like, will it go against my religion? No. Okay, let's do it. If it does, nope, you're on your own. Like, he will remember that straight drunk. Like, blackout. And the controversy behind it is it a loophole? Yes. I mean, if you really look at most of the loopholes, like, what is technically sex? Technically, if you look at the younger age from like the 2000s to now, they believe that anal is not sex. They believe that oral is not sex. Yet you go into the law and they say, yeah, no, that is sex. But what is it religiously? What is it religiously? Because you're not actually planting the seed in. You're not planting the seed in a sense. I'm trying to dance around this a lot. Like, I know I'm going to get in trouble for the foreplay and explaining everything like that, but it's one of those things where there are the dark sides and there are the light sides in this, and a little bit of gray, but I'm wondering how it would actually go for it. Like, because I like the idea, and they gotta understand, like, even it said in there that they're not having the sex talks at home for the Mormon community. And they're worried about the unintentional pregnancies and STIs, sexually transmitted infections, or STDs, for that matter, like, say, AIDS or herpes. Because, funny enough, 89% of the planet has it. Whoever doesn't, you're the weirdo. But it's one of those things where it's like, maybe if you talk to them. I mean, look at all the girls nowadays. A lot of girls from the age of 15, and yes, I know, very young, age of 15 to 18, are always pressured by guys in the normal community. I'm not saying normal as in not Mormon, but more relaxed in religion. But in the normal communities, Catholic, Lutheranism, and all that stuff, they believe that they can get away with it, and they pressure women to have sex. Like, oh, no, you're not going to get this, you're not going to get this. But the girls in those communities are taught at a young age, hey, if you're going to do this, make sure you're on birth control. Make sure you have this. Make sure you have spermicidal, which is a kind of like pretty much a nuke for sperm, lube on hand. Make sure you have condoms. That way, if he doesn't have one, you have one. And it's like, they teach girls way before guys. I think they get taught, like, parents at home, not schools, because I know when I went to school in, I want to say 6th grade. 6th or 5th grade, they gave us a talk at school, like what was going to be happening with puberty, like what the body is going to have happen, what's going to happen, and that kind of stuff, and explain sex through the school. And then they would send you home with the things for your parents saying, hey, we talked about this, follow up. My mom did. My dad didn't. My dad did not give me the talk. But if we were to have the Mormon people at least teach the kids what's going to happen, and tell the guys, wrap it, wear a condom, because if you're not ready to be a dad, wrap it. If you got spermicidal lube, wrap it and then put that crap on it. That way it kills anything. Because I don't know if Mormons believe, and sorry to bring this up, but I don't know if like Mormons believe in abortion, but if you have a kid out of wedlock, that's a bastard. Not to be mean, but that's a bastard. And not only that, it's one of the things that a lot of Mormons, Christians, Lutheran, almost all religions look down on. And no one wants to have their kid looked down on because, oh, you were born out of wedlock with your mom and dad who got married a week later after you were born. That's different. Because it's like, you have this, parents have the opportunity. Yes, it will probably lead to them wanting to experiment with masturbation, or it wants to express into, oh, maybe little Susie and little Bobby want to go into the woodshed and knock out one. I get that. But it's better to hope for the best, but plan for the worst. You can hope that when you teach your kids this, they don't do it because they got a brain in their skull. But you know it might happen, and you plan for that. Or you plan for that. You'd be like, okay, they know what they're doing. They know this, they know that. You constantly watch your kid when they're at home, if they have their boyfriend or girlfriend home. And make sure they're not doing anything stupid. Because I read a Reddit article where apparently a guy and a girl under the blanket, she would move just right so it would look like they were snuggling, but really they were screwing like rabbits, and he wasn't wearing any protection. You as a parent, watch and tell your kids, talk to your kids, because yeah, it's gonna be awkward for the kid, it's gonna be awkward for the parent, but better to be awkward than suddenly having to go to the hospital when your kid's 17 or 16 to have a kid, because they're kids still themselves. Religion be damned, it's more of the thing it's for your children's safety and health and well-being. Alright. Now, with that being done, we're going to move on to our next article, The Easter Bunny, Secret Past. Alright, and the link to go into it is, see what they have not been teaching you. Secret history of the Easter Bunny, what they didn't teach you in school. Picture the Easter Bunny hiding behind a tree. How did the egg-laying bunny come to be associated with the resurrection of Jesus? I always thought because of the white color of rabbits. How they're every spring, ta-da, there it is. If you're one of the millions of people who will be taking their children to the Easter egg hunt, and this was back in March 26th, eating giant chocolate bunnies, or painting eggs in bright pastels, you might be surprised to learn the origins of these innocent traditions. Humans have been celebrating Easter for thousands of years, but the truth is that the history of the holiday is I don't even know what that word is, with swords, fire, and strange women coming out of rocks and casting spells on forest animals. So how did the holiday come to be represented by a cute bunny? To understand the story of the Easter Bunny, we must also understand the history of the Easter itself. Some of these details may surprise you. For example, did you know that the Easter Bunny is a hermaphrodite with German roots? Or that many Easter traditions are actually repackaged pagan rituals. Funny thing, so is Christmas. The pagans believe that during the winter all life died, so that's why you brought a tree into the house, and the candles that were laid around it, the lights, were to help give it the glow that it is still alive. And it was to preserve nature during those times. And they would have several and just keep replacing the tree. And after a while, the Christians saw this and just went, hey, maybe we can do that. Put a star on top to signify that, oh, we're the star that that the three wise men followed. That kind of stuff. But Even pagan and Wiccan ritual for Halloween. They believed a demon came onto Earth on the 31st of All Hallows Eve, and that he would then take souls, and if you wore a mask and walked around, he couldn't see you. And the treats were to help appease the monsters that would be intermingled during that time with the regular people. They wanted to appease the spirits, and then they would leave everyone alone. Otherwise, you would have a prank pulled on you, like, say, your coal would be dumped all over the ground, or your firewood would go missing, and that kind of stuff. So, little tidbit. Next part of the article. The Easter Bunny is German. Das Boot. Our story begins in Ertik, a Germanic goddess worshipped by pagans in pre-Christian Europe. Istor, E-O-S-T-R-E, Istor, was known as the goddess of the dawn, and ancient believers would hold a big festival around the time of the spring equinox each year in her honor. According to scholars, these festivals were marked by feasts, giant bonfires, and sword dances in celebration of renewed life and light. This welcoming of spring would slowly be transformed into a Christian holiday over time. More of that below, but here's a clue to the name Easter and widely understood to be derived directly from Eastor. So wait, where did the eggs come from? A modern spin by Big Chocolate to boost sales? The scholars believe that Easter eggs can be traced all the way back to the goddess herself. A popular legend tells the story of Eastor entertaining a group of children. As part of a demonstration, she transformed her pet bird into a pet rabbit. The catch? In the astonishment of the audience, the rabbit could still lay eggs like a bird. And thus rabbits and eggs became inexorably tied to Easter tradition. The story evolved over hundreds of years, eventually morphing into the legend of Otterhaus, an egg-laying hare who produced eggs and hid them around homes and gardens for children to find on Easter morning. Next part of the article. Hopping around across the pond. How did the legend make the leap across the Atlantic? Immigration, of course. According to historians, 18th century German immigrants bound for Pennsylvania brought the Osterhaus tradition with them. It soon spread across the country, even as it continued to evolve. The Easter hare became the Easter bunny, and the real eggs were eventually replaced with modern chocolate eggs. First popularized by Cadbury in the late 19th century. Quick side note, if you thought chocolate eggs couldn't be controversial subject, well, think again. Okay, and there's a picture here. The Madonna of the Rabbit, an oil painting by Titan, 1596. Okay, historically hermaphroditic, which means it can be the mother and father for producing offspring. Think of kind of like, perfect. Think about Jurassic Park, where they used frog DNA. How a female can turn to a male, and then it can, or if it's a male, it can transform into a female. That way, it can produce more eggs and then thus continue to spread its seed. Think of that in a way. But now it's a rabbit that can shit eggs. Here's where things get a bit strange. Rabbits have a long history as a symbol of fertility. But one reason for the often flies under the radar, ancient scholars believe that hares were hermaphrodites. Because of their rapid reproductive cycles, tiny reproductive anatomy, and extreme fertility, the experts of the day theorized that hares have both sets of reproductive organs and could impregnate themselves. Some even believed that hares could reproduce asexually, which means kind of like plants, where air like wind pulls the sperm off of, or the pollen, which is the sperm of the plant, off and takes it to the female plant, which then mixes with its seed or whatever it is, which produces seeds, which then drops it, and then the plant can reproduce in the area. That incorrect belief led to an association with the Virgin Mary. That's why in the Middle Age art, the Virgin Mary is often depicted with rabbits or hares. Come to think of it, there are some interesting parallels between how Mary and the goddess Istor were depicted in artistic work. So here's how we got an Easter bunny, but how did the pagan holiday become a Christian one? Easter, a pagan celebration. Last part of the article. In 1596 AD, Pope Gregory sent a mission across the Channel to convert pagan Anglo-Saxons in the British Isles to Christianity. But knowing that the pagans were unlikely to simply drop their belief and embrace Jesus overnight, he instead gave a blueprint for conversion through coercion. Pope Gregory instructed his missionaries to embrace rather than reject local pagan customs in order to make Christianity more palpable for the potential converts. Over time, Christian symbols and messages were worked into these long-standing traditions. It was akin to a long con, an inside job. Christianity became ubiquitous, and knowingly or not, the pagans slowly became Christians. Thus, what began as a celebration for a Germanic goddess with a egg-laying rabbit transformed into the holiday we know as Easter today. This is kind of interesting because if you think about, like I said about Christmas and Halloween, we've had this for a long time where Christianity has pulled different religions and different holidays out of their ass, and no one knows where they came from. Like, no one knows why we celebrate Christmas. Oh, it's the day Jesus was born. Not really. They say he was in the spring. But there were pagan holidays that were celebrated. Halloween, I said that one. There are certain holidays that we have stolen from other religions and then converted it into ours. And that's kind of interesting when you think about it, because I know religion is supposed to grow and it's supposed to expand and be able to pull things from other places, but this is very interesting to think about. Also, Germanic hermaphrodite. Huh, that's interesting. Alright. Number 3, the worship Satan for kicks. Would Satan wear these shoes? I think I talked about this one. Converse releases Satanic shoe with Pentagram logo. They look like high tops with a star with a circle with the writing in it. Is Satan seducing children through with sick footwear? Satan got a hot new set of shoes again. For the second time this year, people are panicking over alleged satanic footwear. And this was from August 3rd. Alright. Oh yeah. The latest controversy involves Converse, which announced the release of a shoe critics are calling satanic propaganda. The new Converse design features a small pentagram on the tongue in the place of the standard Chuck Taylor star. Though the symbol is so small it can barely be seen, and the stir it has caused just days after its announcement is gigantic. Many criticized the company's decision to produce this shoe in the first place. Why are people so worked up? Alright, and then I don't even want to know what the fuck that is. There's a picture of a man wearing a black coat, completely shaved, white head, white skin, I think they're trying to represent him as the devil, but no. The shoe was announced on Instagram along with a photo shoot of a model wearing heavy black and white makeup modeling the new footwear. Imagine imagery that perhaps contributed to the visceral online reaction. Like it's Satan. I get it. And it says underneath the picture, as an article for the picture, man, the devil works hard, but these shoe companies work harder. For the second time in 4 months, we have to talk about panic and outrage inspired by purported satanic footwear. Converse is releasing a new shoe design featuring a small pentagram on the tongue in the place of the traditional Chuck Taylor star. The symbol may be smaller than a thumbnail, but it's generating enormous controversy. The announcement also includes a photo shoot with models in heavy white and black makeup. And yeah, no, that's kind of fucked up. Underneath the picture goes, "It's sad, I grew up wearing Converse, but seeing that satanic marketing through your shoes, I won't be buying into this. God help you," one fan wrote on social media. "I'm too Christian for this collab," another said. "Stop satanic propaganda," our top comment pleaded. "Converse, you need Jesus ASAP." What's in a pentagram? Converse defenders were quick to chime in, pointing out that it's just a symbol and arguing that getting so worked up over a little satanic imagery is kind of outdated. This isn't exactly Salem, Syra 1692. Why are we losing our collective minds over 5 lines arranged in a particular pattern? Converse new shoes come as part of a collaboration between Converse and iconoclast fashion designer Rick Owens. And the upside down pentagram is an oft used symbol for Owens, who explained its meaning. "I've been using the pentagram for as long time." One sec. Oh, yeah. "I've been using the pentagram for a long time because obviously it has adolescent occult associations," he stated. "But one of the main things I think it suggests is empathy and a consideration of systems of living that may not be standard. So that leads us to more accepting and tolerance of other systems, which I think is a good thing." By that explanation, the design's intentions aren't nearly as sinister as critics make them out to be. But perhaps intentions don't matter. Many automatically view the pentagram as in a negative light, associating it with dark, scary visions of Satanism, as opposed to the more often open-minded version described by Owens. Next part of it, sensational shoes. Somehow this isn't the first occult footwear controversy in 2021. The first Satan shoe of the year the first Satan shoe of the year came courteously of rapper Lil Nas X. Really. Back in March, he released a black and red Satan-themed shoe, which is still making rounds today. That also featured an upside-down pentagram, as well as a single drop of human blood in the sole of the shoe. That's fucked up. Those shoes were similarly received, and even high-profile politicians and faith leaders insisted that those shoes, released by a 22-year-old rapper, were part of a holy war for the very hearts and minds of the nation's children. As South Dakota Governor Kristi Noem said at the time, "We are in a fight for the soul of our nation, and we need to fight hard, and we need to fight smart. We have to win." For Lil Nas X, releasing the shoes was an act of defiance, and he says the shoes and the public reaction that followed were payback for decades of mistreatment for his sexual orientation. He responded to critics on Twitter by stating, "I hope you are mad. Stay mad. Feel the same anger you teach us to have towards ourselves." Because few people know, or nowadays people do, Lil Nas X is a homosexual. No one really should give a fuck. As for the new Converse, they say on Instagram that the new Satanic shoes are about disturbing formality, embracing traditional structure, and then blowing it up. Considering the social media meltdown that can consider that second part of the strong mission accomplished. What do you think of the Converse new shoes? Is the harsh reaction online justified, or are the people simply overreacting? Overreacting! This is a complete overreaction. It's a fucking shoe! No one's going outside, looking at the shoes, dripping blood around them, and trying to call him up. It's a shoe. And by the way, the sign isn't exactly all that bad. Depending on how you're using it is how it's bad. Most pagans, I'm going to bring them up from the last article, most pagans used it to do spells. Help with nature, heal someone of an illness. They used it for good, but the Christians and the Lutherans, they decided to turn it into demonic. Fucking idiots, I tell you. Okay, next one is chocolate or a whipping. Okay, the violent, sexy pagan origins of Valentine's Day. See, the pagans are just making a big show of it. This was from February of 2021, so this was literally last year. Not that, by the time this comes out, yeah, this was about a whole year ago. And there's a picture of people fighting, I think, because there's a person out throwing a punch. During the Lupercalia festival, men ran nude through the city, whipping eager women to promote fertility. Okay, so beginning of the article. This time of year, as the store's aisles fill up with heart-shaped chocolate and cards, it's not uncommon to hear from the more cynical among us that Valentine's Day was invented by the Hallmark company to sell stuff. Not true. Well, the commercialization of V-Day is most definitely real. The origins extend much further back than a single corporation card company. It has copious amounts of nudity, flagellation, and animal sacrifice to boot. That's nice. You're not going to see that on a Hallmark card. Well, you might. Pagan origins and Lupercalia. Second part. Most historians trace the origins of Valentine's Day to the ancient Rome holiday known as Lupercalia. The pagan fertility celebration of Lupercalia took place February 13th, 14th, and the 15th. Men sacrificed goats and dogs, stripped their hides, and ran through the city square in the nude, literally whipping women, all in celebration of fertility. Many women would actually line up and volunteer for the lashing, believing it a fertility blessing. Even after Christianity's legalization in Rome, the pagan holiday remained for a century and a half too popular with the populace to be abandoned. Pope Galerius eventually did shut down Lupercalia for its pagan origins, but soon after, many historians believe that the Catholic Church rebranded Lupercalia as a new Christian holiday by declaring its annual feast in St. Valentine's Day on February 14th. So, for what people don't know, I'm Lutheran, so I kind of know this. St. Valentine married people in secret, and he was a saint. So he was kind of part of Jesus' high rollers. And there's even a small article on him. St. Valentine was a martyred Roman priest who eventually was canonized as a patron saint of lovers. He had a very, 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 very bad time. Well, the true history is a bit murky since all of it took place nearly 2,000 years ago. It is agreed that St. Valentine was arrested and martyred around 270 AD, as we wrote in 2014. Underneath is a picture of St. Valentine with people around him, and it says, according to the... Oh, no, this might just be them. No, it's just them. This is the Visionary. According to the Number Chronicles, 1493, he was arrested and imprisoned after being caught performing wedding ceremonies for Christian couples and other ways aiding Christians being persecuted by Claudius, a grave crime at the time. Claudius actually grew fond of Valentinus as a prisoner, but when the priest tried to convert the emperor to Christianity, he was beaten and beheaded outside the Flamen Gate in Rome on February 14th. Ugh. Was trying to read it right, and yeah. St. Valentine's connection to romance is a bit murky. Some historians believe that it was Geoffrey Chaucer and William Shakespeare who solidified the connection between St. Valentine and romance. Chaucer links romance directly to Valentine's Day in a poem, The Parliament and Woes, which describes birds gathering in an eager spring to St. Valentinus Day to pair off and mate. William Shakespeare followed Chaucer's example in Hamlet with the following lines. Tomorrow is St. Valentine's Day. All in the morning betime, and I am made at your window to be your Valentine. A hallmark area and the end of the blog. Hundreds of years later, and we have Valentine's Day as we know it. Factories sprout up and mail become very cheap in Victorian England, perfect for sending your sweetie a card detailing your love for him or her by post. In the U.S., Valentines began to be mass-produced at the end of the 1840s by Esther Howland, a businessman so inspired by the Valentine she received from an English acquaintance that she imported paper, lace, and other elements of decorations to begin producing the romantic cards stateside. The Valentines caught on, and Valentine's Day was soon a bona fide and commercialized holiday that only got more popular each year after year. 190 million Valentines are sent each year in the United States alone. So, this Valentine's Day, when you're out with your sweetheart, remember that once upon a time, the holiday looked a little bit different from now and how you're celebrating it today. Well, probably. And that's kind of interesting because remember, I talked about paganism both times, and it's very interesting that they believed that this kind of stuff was for fertility, because if you remember, they said they whipped women. And think about those idiot, not to be mean about it, now I'm not trying to be mean or shame anybody, but think about the idiots who have those kinks where they like to be flogged or they like something being done to them that hurts. It's not hard to believe that someone believed, yeah, no, this helped me have 13 children, so maybe this does work, and spread that, and that became part of it. I don't know, but that's what they believed back then, and that's what... It's surprising to see how much paganism has actually brought into the modern day. It's very interesting because when you think about it, we always think about, oh, everything's only Christian. Oh, everything's only this. Everything's only this. Oh, it can only be this. Oh, we have this belief. Oh, no, it's really this belief. It's very interesting. Plus, understanding that St. Valentine, I always thought that he was released. No, I didn't know he was killed, so. Alright, then the No Pagans Allowed Panera Bread. This article actually upsets me because there's actually a law that states they cannot fire you for just your religious belief. Bad bread. Panera employee allegedly fired for pagan beliefs. What's with everyone last year attacking the pagans? Do you need Jesus to serve bread to customers? The courts will now decide. Is trust in Jesus necessarily to bake a bread bowl? Is it the question at the heart of a lawsuit in Pennsylvania where a pagan woman allegedly alleges she was fired from Panera Bread due to her religion? Tammy McCoy claims that she lost her job as a baker at the Panera location in Pleasant Hills, Pennsylvania, after her supervisor learned that she held pagan beliefs. According to the lawsuit, McCoy respectfully kept her religion beliefs to herself until one day she was asked about her faith by her supervisor. Upon hearing that McCoy is a pagan, the manager allegedly told her she's going to hell. The location's general manager, who witnessed the indication, reportedly nodding in agreement, and that was just the beginning. That pisses me off because, again, it's against the law to do this. Heaping helping of discrimination, part 2. A few days later, McCoy was given a reduced work schedule. When she asked about it, she alleges that she was told directly that your hours are being cut until you find God. Sure enough, later that week, her schedule was reduced to 3 days a week, and she was sent home early on the day she was scheduled to work. McCoy further claims that she was subjected to a hostile work environment and was also told that her religion is fake and she needs to believe in God, that her soul will be condemned to hell, and that they will pray for her soul. When she asked for the corporation phone number to file a complaint with HR, she was allegedly told by the district manager, if you call HR about this, you'll be fired on the spot. She did call HR, though, left messages every day, and never heard back. However, despite not telling anyone that she was making regular calls to HR, the supervisor seemed to know something was afoot and asked her how those phone calls were going for her. McCoy was eventually fired, as was her husband, who also worked at Panera. A bread bowl of life. Last part. The lawsuit summarizes the case in the clear terms below. The plaintiff was subjected to a hostile work environment because of her religion. She was treated differently in the terms and conditions of her employment because of her religion. Her employment was terminated because of her religious beliefs. Finally, she was retaliated against for raising issues and concerns with the managers and attempting to raise issues and concerns with HR regarding harassment and discrimination based on her religion. It is now up to the court to decide if Miss McCoy was discriminated against. Ultimately, one wonder was that the supervisor hoped to gain from the questioning about faith. This is both a very personal and very touchy subject, particularly in the workplace. Why bring it up, especially if you're going to have such a strong reaction to an answer you don't like? Below is a question. What do you think? Teachings say that Jesus is the bread of life, but is a Christian faith really required to break bread? Absolutely fucking not. Because, as we've heard, Christians began taking a lot from the pagans, or going to pagans and converting them over to Christianity, using their own things and interlacing it into Christianity. It's one of those things where it's like they are the bad guy, and if you look throughout history, then most of the time they're bad guys. But it's not that. It's more along the line of, okay, they want to be little shits, and this is a slam dunk case. Panera has no foot to stand on. And again, like it said at the bottom before the question, it's very true. Why the fuck would you ask that at work? You technically can't. It's a law. You cannot say that. And then the lawsuit she has is a slam dunk because, one, if she has it reported, like documented, that her manager and her staff manager, both of them were doing this, that is discrimination, a religious discrimination, 1. 2, that is then the management retaliating against you for your religion. And as it said here, then she asked for HR because she did not believe she was being treated fairly. That is retaliation, 1, for not telling her this, because that is open to all employees, no matter what business you go to. And 2, when she was raising the alarm to them, they were still cutting her work hours. They were still punishing her for doing nothing wrong. And then when she finally called, they fired her and her husband. Her and her husband separately have 2 different cases because he was just in the backlash of it. But again, she has every right to be like, hey, they fired me. They pretty much discriminated against me. It's no, in this sense, and I hate to bring it like this, this is about the same as if a black man walked in, was working at Panera Bread, and they told him he had to get white because black was not a color that suited the company, and they did all this shit to a black man and fired him because he was black. That is racial, but it's along the same lines and around the same laws. Harsher, but not along the same line. It's harsher for racial than it is religional or religious. But that is just, it is such bullshit that they would even start to do this. It just, pisses me off because I don't know what it is with Christians where they think that they're high and fucking mighty. Like or Catholic, I think. Christian or Catholic. All I know is that they believe in God and they believe in the saints. I'm Lutheran, which means we just pray to God and Jesus. That's it. That's it. We have no one else. We know what we're supposed to do. Be nice to people. Follow the commandments. That's it. But these people are... I hate when Christians and religious people all go, well, you need to believe in this or this is going to happen. It says in the Bible, do not condemn those who do not believe. They will come in their own time. Or they have their own fucking God. Let them believe in what they want to believe. It does not affect you. Yes, you feel like you're a good Samaritan. Be like, I'm going to save you from hell. Don't worry. No. Leave them the fuck alone. If they're happy believing that their God doesn't want you to eat ham, fuck off. Let them eat kale. You eat bacon. If their God says they're not allowed to drink alcohol, cool. Give them some lemonade. You drink the whiskey. It's not hard. I don't get why religion has to be this difficult. It's kind of like being gay. What you do behind closed doors, what you believe in is yours and yours alone. You have to deal with that with your God. You have to deal with that with your personality. You have to deal with that on your conscience. If you feel like something's wrong, like your conscience is going, maybe we shouldn't do this, don't do it. If your religion is pressing on you and you're going like, well, I don't really believe in this, that's another thing. If your sexuality is going, well, you don't like guys, you're not getting extra happy when you're kissing your boyfriend Mark, guess what? You're probably not gay. And no one gives a fuck. No one's going to be walking... If someone walked down the street, if I were gay, I'm not, but if I were, and I was holding someone's hand, a guy's hand, a guy was dating this guy, and someone went, ew, I would look back at them, hoping they would be holding their girl's hand and be like, ew, straight people. Because to them, we're disgusting. And to us, they're disgusting. So leave them the fuck alone. It's not hard. Use the 2 brain cells the Lord gave you in your head, and maybe leave them alone. It's not hard. Jesus said, love each other as I have loved you. That doesn't mean start doing what they do. I mean, look what happened with Lil Nas X with his shoe. People are like, oh, it's satanic, it's satanic. He did this because he believed that the homosexual community was mistreated and completely shat on for years, which they were. But here's the thing. Instead of being part of the problem where you're having to fight, be part of the solution. I mean, if everyone decided to just go out and punch everyone in the face who they had a problem with, everyone would have everyone's eyes would be black, red, puffy. Some politicians would have no eyes left over whatsoever because they would have been punched so hard in the face, probably break their fucking skulls. I don't get what's going on with the world. Religion used to be so peaceful, and nowadays it's just a bunch of idiots thinking, oh, I'm right, no, 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 I'm right. It's getting ridiculous. Just believe in what your gods, what most of the religious gods have said. And ULC means I can believe in all of them. ULC states that we are a church of love. I believe in Lutheranism. I can do Lutheran and technically Christian marriages. I can do that because that's part of my religion. But here's the sad thing. If I find out that, say, the groom refuses to have an usher there because he is Islamic and he believes in Allah, I won't do the wedding. Every god and their Messiah, their son, Jesus, Muhammad, that kind of stuff, or if you're Jewish, he hasn't come back yet. If you listen to their teachings, they ask you to do the same thing. Do unto others as you wish to be done unto you. It's not hard. It's basic human. Just be nice to people. Now, I'm going to let this go because I only got a few more seconds on the tape. So, tune in next week for the second half of this. So, thank you. If you liked it, leave a like down below. Subscribe today. And please remember, have fun playing in the dark. I'll see you guys in the next one. Night.
AudioMicro.com